All right, good evening. So today we are going to be covering the briefings for the invasion of the next planet. This planet will be Concretum Civitas. It is a primarily arid world. It is sandy and there's yellow fog. The enemy forces are going to be about a division strong, maybe about a division plus. Primarily focusing on mechanized infantry, but they do have ADA support as well as artillery. We will get started here very shortly, but this briefing will be covering the initial invasion of that planet. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and transition over. They're still getting their models in place here, but to walk through my brief understanding before they talk about it, their actual spawn location is not going to be on map here. So the way that this is oriented, the top of this is north, and for usage of this, I'm going to go ahead and draw this. Actually, I'm going to, because I think their plan is going to have them coming in from that direction, I'm actually going to change that over here. So, right, I didn't like that in. All right. So that would be north. They're going to spawn to the south. It's because this map is actually fairly small. Each of these squares represents a square kilometer. As you can see, it's only about 5 kilometers at its widest. It's also about 5 kilometers long, north-south. The unit will be spawning to the south, likely have to come around this way, and they'll be conducting a landing here. I'm ready whenever you guys are. They've created a limit of advance. This is as far as they would like to push during this operation. They will have these 3 objectives: Manhattan, Old Fashioned, and Whiskey Sour. Objective Manhattan represents a small military base. Old Fashioned is a small town. Whiskey Sour is a little bit of a larger town. They'll be facing renegade forces supported by Chaos Space Marines. Assets are representative on map. And then additionally, aircraft to this side. All right, I'm going to go ahead and queue in theirs.
Is our first phase for Operation Final Dusk. This will be the first, and I am anticipating 3 or 4 if things go wrong. Particular missions that we will launch upon the planet of Concretum Civitas. As I understand it, and as the intel reports have suggested, and as we have mostly seen from orbital pics, this is the mining colony planet for the Orbita subsector. Taking this planet will aid us in the ability of creating a further war machines, ammunition, and weaponry. Since our taking of Dayron Prime, this planet will serve as the primary resource supplier for said planet. And the taking of this, we need to launch first strike and acquire an actual location for us to be able to essentially a forward operating base is what I'm looking for. So, as you all observe the map here, LG SmackDown will be a very temporary location for us, but all forces will be staging there. Initial map reconnaissance and initial foot reconnaissance have suggested that this location isn't enough of a defilade to be protected from enemy battery fire. Indirect fire, on the other hand, we can't do anything about. So, once your troops are on the ground, make sure that they are making all haste to Objective Manhattan, also known as Rust Fortress. This is one of the military complexes on the planet, and the one that I have chosen for our forward operating base. It'll be under the auspice of the Mechanicus, to fortify this location for us. Following us taking Objective Manhattan, I leave it in the auspice of the A26 to decide whether they want to attack Objective Whiskey Sour or Objective Old Fashioned. Either one, because both will need to be taken for us to be able to hold whatever we take on this planet tomorrow. My suggestion.
Hey, wake up. User was moved to your channel.
Oops. I didn't
My suggestion.
Sorry.
My suggestion will be that we either have my Astartes take one of the 2 locations, or alternatively, we can just absolutely obliterate one of the locations from existence. However, keep in mind, we want as much intelligence for our invasion of future planets as possible, which means both these locations are suggested to have some amount of the enemy's leadership in place. Particularly, Objective Whiskey Sour is known to be a headquarters for the one of the two um, infantry brigades, or one of the two infantry mechanized infantry brigades, as I understand it. I don't know why this. I don't care. So,
User was moved to your channel.
any movement inside those sectors will need to be methodical and be very, very careful about what they're firing at. Total war is not in effect. We want to preserve as much as we can in order to make sure that we can harvest as much resources from this planet as possible. So, Colonel Owen, I'll let you go and begin your piece following LZ SmackDown.
My firm. Initial assault will be relative with the approval of the commander to drop down using personal drop pods, because the enemy will be able to see roughly of where those drop pods land. Relative will then disperse into the wilderness and make themselves hidden while they initially scout. Infantry armor will be on. Infantry and armor will be the primary force for us. We will all be on foot for the initial push. We'll move from LZ SmackDown to Objective Manhattan, where we will assist the initial force and take Manhattan. Once Manhattan is secured, infantry, where vehicles have been placed, shall lead,
So for those not
lead
familiar, the
that
green
vehicle
icons I just laid down
and
are
go
indicating
over
bridges,
and go through the river.
and then
off to the
these
west
rectangles
side.
with the circles represent minefields.
Once infantry has pushed through, we will give them time to get into position, where they will assault it from the north.
The concern here
Once vehicles are placed down
with going the route that they are is that their
Venator,
vehicles are not
they will
amphibious,
push south from Objective Manhattan with
and so
the approval
water
of
crossings here may or may
Orbita.
not be difficult. I'm not sure if the water's shallow enough that they can just cross like that.
With a fire team of Astartes to assist them to push down and to provide overwatch on the east side of the river next to the objective of.
This will be fun. The enemies have a lot of bunkers as well to provide overwatch
We
and harass
move
them.
back to Manhattan, resupply, rearm, then do the push to Whiskey Sour, with the objective to capture the enemy commander.
Surprised they didn't have me brief the
unknown
enemy's
of
situation before they
if
started planning their.
We'll have enemies push from the limit of advance.
This
but
isn't tabletop
we
simulator
anticipate that
magic,
will
but
be
this is planning for Arma. You know that this is planning for Arma.
That is the joint of the plan that we have right now, Mark.
Very well. My main concern in this is if we lose Objective Manhattan.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Inquisitor. Did you want to make a intelligence brief?
Good evening, sir. I do believe that it would be helpful for an intelligence brief, as the Inquisition
Absolutely.
does have more current intelligence. Due to Blue 4 aviation assets having had exceptional success in their search and destroy efforts, hunting down enemy entrenchments, turrets, and otherwise fortified positions. Orbital scans have found an increase in dust despite the already high amount of dust on the world, indicating enemies are fortifying more so. Orbital picts have further clarified that enemies have erected a series of bunkers roughly between objectives Whiskey Sour and objective Manhattan in a line, pointed generally north. These bunkers do appear primarily covered and will make aerial assets less effective in their means to destroy those targets. We do not know what assets are within those bunkers, but they are hardened structures and they do have coverage from the top. Additionally, we do believe that the enemy has utilized fast cam artillery scattered mines in an effort to create obstacles to prevent advance from your LZ toward objective Whiskey Sour. There is also a bridge between objective Old Fashioned and objective Manhattan. We believe this bridge to be mined. The enemy is aware that mechanized assets are not amphibious, and so I am in a slight amount of concern on if the water surrounding that island with Hill 31 there is actually shallow enough to conduct fording operations for the unit. If that is not the case, if it is too deep for Chimeras or Lehman Russes to cross that, then the unit will have to make the choice between bridges. We believe the bridge in vicinity of the supply post just east of Objective Old Fashioned is mined. The bridge to the south will face further contestment due to fortifications within Concretum City if the unit chooses to take that route, and might end up pincered between Concretum City proper and Objective Old Fashioned. Objective Whiskey Sour is likely to have fortifications around it as well. But again, we believe that these are primarily obstacles in the forms of mines in order to funnel, in turn rather, blue 4 elements into less favorable positions. Objective Manhattan is already a fortified position. I know you have imagery of it, and it already occupies higher ground, allowing for improved observation in fields of fire from those hardened bunkers, which are likely to be manned by some of the best forces on the planet due to its military nature. We do assess there will be Chaos Space Marines at that location.
Excellent. I haven't had a chance to kill Black Legion in the recent months. This will be a good change of pace.
Be advised that due to it being Black Legion, they are very likely to intentionally try to conduct decapitation strikes on your C2 nodes. Your command elements need to be mobile at all times, lest Black Legion hones in on them in an effort to disrupt your operations by killing your command structure.
Is there any intelligence suggesting of any leadership elements within Objective Manhattan?
We do not have positive identification on enemy leadership, but due to the military nature of the facility, it's not unlikely.
And how sturdy is that bridge to the south of Objective Manhattan, west of Old Fashioned?
Very. It is not actually a bridge. Rather, it is a land bridge, not
Okay.
not man-made. Nonetheless, it still presents a restricted mobility corridor.
Alpha Drumedan, do you think that
So Inaku,
you
the
or
leader of this
any
unit, is
assets of the
actually
Mechanicus would be able to get guns
Army
up and
as
ready
well. He's an
to
infantry
shell
officer, so he
rough
is familiar
location
with
of that land
these
bridge
descriptions.
in attempts to try to disable the mines ahead of time?
If artillery is
But not
deployed,
everybody in
then
the
there
unit
wouldn't
is.
be much of an issue. Artillery crewmen should be able to make that happen.
If you could bring to the Mistress of the Mechanicus my wishes to, as soon as we are on Objective Manhattan, just do a light shelling of that land bridge area to try to lessen the amount of mines that infantry have to deal with. That everybody has to deal with, really, since everybody's going to Old Fashioned.
Copy that. That shall be processed forward to the Magos.
Okay. Hallmark Biddle.
Yes, Primark.
What are your plans in this operation? What is your coordinating
Uh,
efforts?
there's two possible situations at the beginning of the operation that Legion can take reins of. We can either go in with your flyboys flying
Mirage, how have you been?
hemispheres, probably low to the water to get to the location. Go in with the groups so that we can, as we are small enough, we should be able to divert off and take a bit of the fire should that be needed. The other option is to drop uh, is a drop pod to land into LZ SmackDown before the arrival of the Valkyries in an attempt to try and cause as much fire to be aimed at us to avoid these expected uh, AA threats bunkers to be a problem to the Valkyries. The other option is if we land early, we could try and move up and deal with as many of them as possible, so that there are as we are attacking them, they will be having all guns on us, meaning they won't have any guns in the air.
I like that. And the faster that we can take out any of their anti-air capabilities, the faster that we can actually wield a greater advantage against the enemy. As we have all learned in the past, our air superiority is one of our greatest advantages over the enemy, as they seem to be lacking in the air capabilities. Though I don't know if they're just saving themselves for anime or not.
Possibly. The additional is if we go for the drop pod approach, I will not field any aircraft in the initial stage, and only once we've taken Objective Manhattan will I get an aircraft in the air. Only because having as many people available to assist in this attack, since we are also planning to have our dreadnought, Contemptor dreadnought, to assist, as well as the possibility of having our Terminator squad to act as immediate QRF should it be required.
What is your preference then?
Preference would be no aircraft till we get to Objective Manhattan, due to the fact that I don't think we'll need any aircraft if we're. So we'll take a drop pod in, full Astartes, all airboys on the ground running with us to move towards the location. We'll land early, of course, ahead of the schedule. Once we've landed, we can also call in for our dreadnought and Terminator boys, and with that intention, we can move up on this and go for a clear out, attempted clear out.
That those symbols are mines.
Well, attempted clear out. It stated that there was that the fortified area was in that area. There was no
The fortified area is around Objective Whiskey Sour, though it's mainly just a deterrent. The actual symbology is particularly mines. That is a minefield area, known minefield.
pretty sure we'd find our way around it.
Sure.
But we could move a group onto Hill 7-6. Ugh. I hate this tool. You can move a group onto Hill 7-6 up here, of Astartes, to keep an eye out on these these weapon batteries at Objective Whiskey Sour, leaving the Terminator squad and the Dreadnought to hold smackdown of any vehicles or infantry that may move up on our arrival, basically.
I see. It's prudent. I approve. Very well. Alpha Drummond, do you know of the initial plans of what Fabricator Locum Rafna has already determined?
Indeed, I have been mildly informed, yes.
Go ahead and bring us through with what her plans are.
The current objective of Hydra will be to make a push to Objective Manhattan,
Yes.
in which we shall establish our foothold with an FOB and make sure the Crusade Force gets their supply of troops and war machines onto the battlefield.
Very well. It was a simple plan to begin with, anyway. All right. Is there any last minute requisition request beyond the ones that we have already made?
None from Legion. We have everything available to us already.
Very well.
None from air. We have what we need for this operation.
Excellent.
Mechanicus is already well supplied.
Very good.
Infantry has already requested for the cameras to be
For the usual.
Yeah.
All right. Then my last request will be, Captain Firefly, are there any particular concerns that you want to enlighten us to prior to stepping off for tomorrow?
Our carrier is going to be operating far to the south of the island, so most of our approaches are going to be coming from east or west as we'll be looping around the island. With my current number of pilots available, I plan on fielding 2 Valkyries for direct support of infantry, 1 for transport, 1 for CAS, and I myself will probably be taking up an Avenger to act as combat air patrol and also conduct seed operations against enemy anti-aircraft fortifications.
Very good.
Hopefully,
As-
before the end of the day, they'll be decapitated on the AAA front.
I hope so as well. As a emergency plan, Hallmark Biddle, make sure that Valkyrie is well aware that they may be needed to run CAS or CAP, or whoever wishes to fly the Thunderhawk. Just keep it on a emergency standby. If we take so much fire that we lose our Valkyries.
Good copy. I believe we have access to a
Storm Eagle as well.
I
Yes.
will probably I'll communicate with the pilots to see which one they want, but knowing the pilots, the map might be a bit too small or a bit too open for the Thunderhawk to be for safety of the Thunderhawk, so we might use the Storm Eagle as the
Whichever.
missile. Yeah. So I'll keep that
Whichever
on
they
there.
prefer.
That will be kept here.
Yeah.
Oops.
It'll be basically just the emergency plan if and this is if all of the Valkyries are shot down.
Will do.
All right. Is there any last minute advice from anybody?
I do have one, sir.
Go ahead.
I don't know that it has been considered or not, but it is worth noting. Objective Whiskey Sour is a larger city than Objective Old Fashioned.
Absolutely.
It is likely to face, or Blue 4 elements attacking it are likely to face significantly more resistance and a larger number of enemies. If Legion operates in that AO alone, it is likely that they will face high casualties.
Thanks, Inquisitor. Legion plan to just try and deal with the AA threats in the area before, and then probably pull back to Objective Manhattan. Probably just focus on dealing with any sort of the anything we can see, Hydras or AA
right.
turrets on in and around the complex before, and then we'll pull back once the rest of the unit has landed to regroup.
I understand, Polmark.
Make sure they're careful. Make sure that they do not take unnecessary risk. And for the love of God, make sure they do not get bloodlust and just start going ham. Because they will die.
Of course, I'll be focusing entirely on the idea on long-range combat, utilizing possibly las cannons, and pulling back if we see things are getting a bit too dangerous. The main thing is that we want them to primarily be focusing towards us. We'll probably use the edge of the mountain to act as cover, popping up every so often to deal with stuff. And once the Valkyries have landed and we've confirmed that all troops are on the ground, we're pulling back.
Very well. Then, unless there's any other points that anybody wants to make, right?
None at this time.
We've done well to make it this far. Make sure we are not getting full of ourselves when we get into the operation.
Yeah,
Make sure
so
that we're not
their special forces
making
section
foolish
is going to
and unneeded risk.
basically look for high payoff
This is only the
targets
second
ahead of
planet,
time,
and we still have a long way to go.
specifically targeting ADA.
If I may, Primarch, there's
Yes.
an old saying: the only easy day was yesterday.
Yes.
So cheesy. God damn it, Firefly, I love you.
There is nothing further. Then you're all dismissed. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Primarch.
Ave Imperator.
Ave
Ave
Imperator.
Imperator.
Good luck. Good hunting.
All right, so that's their brief then. Is they're going to deploy up here. There's enemy aviation operating in the area as well that will contest them, but they're going to generally have to sweep around the map in order to come here.
All right.
It is partially to simulate
Trying to
coming
make
in
this
from
short.
further away. Let me see.
Big deal for this.
But it is primarily to simulate coming in from off planet. But the map is small, and I don't want their spawn area to be harassed by gunfire, basically off the rip. So the concept being that they're going to spawn as far away as reasonable, that they can still actually operate and get guys into the battlefield, but without basically getting shot down off of the spawn area. But they're gonna have some surprise because enemies from the previous portions of the campaign have learned and have absolutely started adjusting how they're going to set up their fortifications. Should be good. Oh, dude, I'm running the operation. I'm I'm here to ruin lives. Ask. We've had a couple of the guys I play for or run these for in chat. It's old Mr. Magic was one of them. Mirage was another. So it'll be fun. They're still doing a little talking about things, but no major changes to their brief really. So. But oh, you're right. I don't know that guy. Magic. Yeah, I have no fucking clue who he is. He's some rando. Some dude randomly creeping in my fucking chat and one of the 7 random people who watch me. Because it's not like I don't know every single person in here. Because damn, Duke Lord really calling me out for ruining people's dreams. That's hurtful. Not wrong, but hurtful still. Magic, I have absolutely no idea who you are, Mr. Random Twitch viewer, but you can slide into my DMs whenever. This is the part where you go, no, get away from me. I don't know you. That's not your purse. Have a good night. We'll see you at the op. All right. So, a little bit of a short stream there, but that is the operations brief for tomorrow. Should be going live, I think, what, 5? I think is the time of the operation. So 1700, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard. Something like that. I think that's right. But, yeah. Inaku, man, how have you been? I realize, not much to watch now, but nonetheless, I hope you're well. You too, man. It's good to hear from you too, brother. Thank you for stopping by. Magic, I hope you're doing great things. I can't wait to meet you tomorrow because I've never met you before. Mirage, Gore wife says, "Oh really?" because I told her that you missed her. Later, Inaku. Have a good night, brother. But all right, y'all. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night, guys.